another video on the channel today. We're back on GT Sport and we're back with a video driving for my first time on GT Sport the Mercedes AMG GT3. I said it a few weeks ago that I was going to start trying to bring more variety in terms of the car selection to the channel and doing obviously some track guides with different cars, because I was sticking mainly to the Porsche 911 as it kind of suited my driving style, but I wasn't giving other cars a chance, and I decided it was about time to start trying other cars, because when Monza was on, when it first came out, I managed to get to rank 2, and that was with a car that I hadn't tried before. So it really got me thinking, is there other cars out there that are going to suit me better? And first car I decided to try was a Mercedes AMG GT3 at Bathurst, and I have to say, really enjoyed driving this car. The physics felt a lot better with this car than they have with other cars. I think they got the way it drives quite well done compared to games when you're comparing them to games like iRacing and Assetto Corsa, etc. They're not worlds apart. Obviously it's not as advanced as them games in terms of the physics and the way it handles, but it definitely felt a little bit better. Just the one thing I didn't really like on it was the slip angle when getting on the power was way too loose, but then again, this game seems to be faster with traction control off, whereas them games is more based on real life, where the real racing drivers use their weakest traction control settings for their qualifying runs, and you can get on the power a lot better. So them games incorporate that into their game, so it is actually faster on a lot of them games to run it on the weakest setting of the traction control, and that's probably where that comes from. Anyway guys, I'm going to let you have a little watch of the lap in 4 speed. I'll keep talking over it because I'm not too worried about at this point. We're going to go on to a track guide after I show it at 4 speed. Just going to have a little talk about the handling. We took about a good hour and a half to get used to the car, I'd say, because I'd never obviously driven it. I was starting to get used to it, and you can see there this lap wasn't the best. We'd already done a 202.0. We started off on our first lap with it was a 204.1, I think it was, or something like that, and we gradually knocked it down by about 3-4 attempts and just kept knocking it down until we got down to the low 202s, and then I started to just try pushing, and even over this lap I felt there was more in it, because if you have a little look going into turn 1, we very slightly missed the apex slightly, and there was probably over a foot or 2 foot into that apex. Look how far away from the curb we are. I think we could have got a little bit more speed carried around that corner. We did do it well, don't get me wrong, but I think there was a little bit more time left in them corners, and there was still a little bit of time left in a couple of other corners where I'm still not fully up to speed with this car, but I have to say I really enjoyed driving it, and it makes me look forward to doing a lot more of the races now, because I want to start driving other cars. So I was getting a bit bored of driving that Porsche all the time, and this car's another car that I really like driving. I like it on other games. I tend to enjoy driving it on Assetto Corsa whenever I drove it. I used it on the iRacing a lot of times when I was playing iRacing a lot. I did tend to use this car quite a bit, and I did get a lot of success with this car, but I'd never tried it on this game, and I just tended to use the car that was in the leaderboard the most. But I think that's going to change a lot now. I'm going to start trying to mix it up and add a bit of variety, because I don't want to be constantly driving the same car in every race, every single hot lap. We're going to get to the point where we're going to start adding different cars into the mix, just to help, because not everyone's going to drive the same cars. So I want to make the channel more versatile for everyone. And so what we're going to do in a minute, we're going to do a proper in-depth track guide like I did with the Mazda at Interlagos. We're going to do an in-depth track guide like that, showing you the braking spots, slowing it down a lot more, and just giving myself more time to explain the lap. So we'll go ahead and do that. As you can see there, the last corner we lost a little bit of time. I think we're looking at the delta there, we lost at least a tenth to 2 tenths. So we possibly could have got this down to a 201.6 if we would have just got that last corner sorted. So there is probably a lot of potential to get us down to a very low 201. So let's go through the track guide in depth, slowing everything down and pointing out all the brake spots on the turn, as many turning in points as I think are necessary. So braking down just after the 100, you see, just past the 100 we're putting our first initial braking input in, and then we're trail braking into the corner, and then going just past pretty much dead on the 50 board, we're starting to put the steering angle into the car. I like to take quite a late apex on this so you can get a lot of exit speed coming out the corner. You can see that we're trail braking all the way into the corner, then releasing it on the apex, and then on the power very early into 3rd gear. I did like to get into 3rd gear very early with this car. It did seem to have quite good torque, and then working our way up the hill. You can see that we were slightly ahead of the Ghost, so we were racing against, not massively amounts but just a small amount. Then we're going to be looking to brake just past 100 in between. To see where that bit of tarmac is on the left, that's where we're going to start our braking inputs, and we're going to trail brake just slightly into the corner, you see there. And then steering input is coming in just about here now. Could have been a little bit earlier on the steering input, I think, there, but that's where I did it for this lap. And then you can see going around the corner, we're back at just a slight little lift off the power before putting maximum power back down on the accelerator to get maximum speed up this hill now. And then going into this left-hander, I like to take a really early line into the corner. You see there, I'm starting to turn really early, and then we're going to start trail braking at about this point, and we're just going to put real gentle brake inputs in there. You can see, not slamming down the brakes, so we're not slowing down too much, just really gentle trail braking. This helps keep the weight on the front of the car and gives you a lot of turning input into that corner. Then we're going through the gears into third gear, very smoothly up this hill. You've got to be careful with the steering inputs here, too aggressive and the rear wheel step out slightly. And then again into this really fast right hand corner. You can do this flat out, but you'll see I give it a fraction of lift, just turning input. My steering inputs are starting to come in now, and you'll see a little fraction of lift off the accelerator there, and then back down straight away. You can actually get away with doing that flat out, but I backed out, I wussed out, but you know, there is a little bit of time left there. Then going through these really fast corners, what I like to do is in 5th gear and then downshift to 4th gear and put the steering inputs in pretty much the same time around this point now. And you really want to attack this curb on the left, and then back into 5th gear. Don't stay in 4th gear, back into 5th gear to get a maximum acceleration out of that corner. And then again, as you see that curb on the right, this is where you're going to start using your steering inputs again and back down to 4th gear, just as that curb starts on the right hand side. And then attack this corner as early as you can. You want to try and hug the wall as much as you can. And then into 5th gear to get maximum speed coming out of that corner. Then this is the real tricky section. This is where why we use the -3 brake balance, because it really does help on this downhill section. So you can see I'm starting to trail brake very early, and we're not going to put maximum braking power down. We're just going to trail brake all the way down this hill, gradually trail braking, you see there, down into 2nd gear, hug the wall on the right hand side, and then into 3rd gear before we hit that dip. That helps stabilize the car when you land, and you can get back on the power really smoothly, you see there. Much better than if you're in 2nd gear. And then again going into this corner, turning very early and try and stick the car over to the right hand side and start your braking inputs very early. You can see there, really light braking already, and then I stick the car to the right hand side as much as I can, and then downshift into 2nd gear, and you want to try and get the car to stay as close to that wall as you can. That's why I start braking very early for this corner, because exit speed is key for this corner. If you go into that corner deep, you're going to get on the accelerator much later. You might go through to the corner faster, but then you're going to lose so much time all the way down this hill. And look how long this straight is. This is why it's key to get a really good exit from that corner. And then apologies about the top right hand corner, the chase camera decided to miss a part of the recording, so I had to get rid of it for a bit, but nothing I can really do about it. It seems to be a bug on PS4 at the moment. Then we're going to look for the 150, braking just past the 150, just fractionally past. We're going to start putting our braking inputs in, slowly braking, and then just about the 50 board, we're going to start putting our steering inputs in to take this left-hander. And you can see we're going to trail brake into this corner to keep that weight to the front of the car, and then get on the power as early as you can. You really want to slam on that power and get straight on the power so you get maximum exit speed coming out of this corner and working our way into the final corner. And then we're going to be looking again, the 100 board on the right hand side, braking just fractions past that 100 board. Again, you can see the brake inputs coming just past the 100 board, and then again just past the 50 there, and then the steering inputs are going to start coming in now. Again, you want to take quite a late apex to get maximum speed coming out of this corner. You can see there, turning in quite late into 2nd gear, and we got a little bit of power oversteer here. You see there, I had to correct it there, big overcorrection. That's where we lost a bit. If you look at the delta, it's gone red and we're losing quite a lot of time, but we get away with an okay lap of a 201.8 with, which considering this is all BOP on and we're running default setup with the racing hard tyres, it was for the daily race, and it put us fractionally outside the top 10 very late at night. So I was really happy with that for my first ever run in the Mercedes AMG GT3. It is a car that takes a little bit getting used to compared to the Porsche, because the slip angle was a little bit greater. I'd say you've got to be a little bit more cautious when putting that throttle down coming out of the corners compared to some other cars, due to the power and the torque it has. But once you get used to it, a really enjoyable car to drive. I hope you guys have appreciated this video. I hope it helps some of you out, whether it gains you some time or gives you some inputs into the track as well. The guide should work for a lot of cars in terms of your braking points and accelerating points and turning in points. Obviously some cars are going to be fractionally different, depending on how sensitive the steering is and stuff, but overall it should be a good help to you guys. Give me some feedback in the comments if you want to write anything. Let me know if it's helped you out. If you like these videos, make sure you give the video a thumbs up. I do appreciate everyone that gives it a thumbs up. You know, if I see these the thumbs up going massively high, it really gives me motivation to get back on and get more of these videos done. Anyway guys, thanks again for watching. We're going to be back with more Project Cars 2, Assetto Course and GT Sport videos very soon, and I hope you enjoyed it. See you soon.